They were always the ones who stayed, the ones who listened, the ones who gave when no one else did, even when it hurt. They absorbed pain like a sponge in silence, smiling while they bled, saying, "It's fine," when their souls screamed, "Enough." But something has shifted. Something broke, not loudly, but deeply. The empath is no longer who they were, not because they turned cold, but because they finally stopped betraying themselves. This is the story of an empath who became dangerous, but through awakening. Carl Jung would call it the return of the shadow. Part 1. The tired empath, when kindness becomes a cage. At first, their kindness was a gift, a soft light that made people feel safe. They gave without expecting, listened without judgment, loved without limits. But over time, something began to change. Not in the world, in them. They started feeling, not through hatred, hollow, resentful, tired. Not tired like sleep-deprived, tired like soul-drained, like a candle burning at both ends for people who never cared where the wax fell. They were praised for their compassion, but no one noticed the cost. No one asked about the silence behind their smile. No one wondered how much it hurts to constantly be the one holding space, with no one holding space for you. This is where the fracture begins. Not with rage, but with exhaustion. Not with revenge, but with realization. They start to ask, "What about me?" And for the first time, they don't feel guilty for asking. Part 2. The shadow they denied. Every time they said yes when they wanted to scream no. Every time they swallowed their anger to keep the peace. Every time they made themselves smaller to make others comfortable. They weren't being kind. They were abandoning themselves. Beneath the light of their compassion, there was something else growing. Something ancient. Something sacred. Something they feared. Their shadow. Carl Jung taught us, the shadow is everything you refuse to see about yourself. For the empath, it was the anger, the rage, the voice that wanted to scream boundaries but was silenced in the name of peace. They were taught that being good meant being quiet, that love meant self-sacrifice, that saying no made them selfish. So they buried the parts of them that could protect, confront, and stand tall. But what you bury doesn't die. It waits, and one day it returns, not to destroy you, but to complete you. The empath doesn't become dangerous because they turn dark. They become dangerous because they finally allowed the dark. They no longer try to prove they're good enough. They detach from roles that drained them, the caretaker, the fixer, the savior. In the old story, they were the martyr. In the new one, they are reborn, not as someone cold, but as someone whole. Picture it, a silhouette once soft, bent over in giving, now stands tall, wrapped in shadow and light. The open hands, once offering, now hold boundaries like sacred weapons. The gentle eyes now burn with fire, not rage, but self-respect. The empath doesn't lose their heart, they reclaim their spine. They don't stop caring, they start choosing where their care goes. This is not revenge, this is rebirth. Part 4. Why the empath becomes dangerous. They don't raise their voice, they raise their standards. They don't seek control, they reclaim their power. They no longer ask for permission to be themselves. And to those who once depended on their silence, their boundaries feel like violence. To those who once fed on their guilt, Their clarity feels selfish. The empath becomes dangerous because they are no longer available for manipulation, for emotional guilt traps, for carrying wounds that aren't theirs. Jung would say, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." They've made the unconscious conscious. They've faced their shadow, and now they choose. Dangerous, not in the way the world fears, not destructive, but unshakable. They no longer fight to be seen. They see themselves. They no longer try to be everything for everyone. They are finally everything for themselves, and that, to a broken world, is terrifying. Part 5. The Deep Healing. How the empath truly breaks free. Healing isn't just setting boundaries, it's grieving the years you had none. It's mourning the you that tolerated the intolerable, because you didn't know you were allowed to say no. The empath doesn't break free through toughness. They break free through truth. Here's what real healing looks like. 1. Emotional release as a ritual. Not just talking about the pain, but screaming it into a pillow, punching it into the earth, crying until the numbness cracks open. You don't heal the shadow, you let it speak. 2. Rewriting the personal myth. For years they believed, "I'm here to fix others." Now they know, "I'm here to live whole." They stop playing the role of the eternal giver and start becoming the author of their own story. The empath doesn't become dangerous because they changed. They become dangerous because they finally became complete. They are no longer trapped in the role of the healer. They are no longer chained to the myth of being too much or never enough. They are no longer held hostage by guilt, silence, or obligation. They have met their shadow, and instead of running, they bowed to it, learned from it, integrated it. Now, they walk with both light and fire, with open hearts and clear boundaries, with softness that no longer bleeds and strength that no longer shouts. This is individuation. This is power. This is peace. And if you're hearing this, maybe it's your turn. If this spoke to something deep inside you, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're becoming. Like, comment your story. Share this with the quiet souls. Let them know. Their fire is sacred. Their no is holy. And their shadow is not their enemy. It's their path home.